This lesson is on section 3.1 titled Square Roots. So a square root, if you're wondering, is the square root of a number is one of two equal factors. So what does that mean? So let's do some examples here. All right, well, we know that 2 times 2 equals 4, right? Well, 2 then is the square root of 4. 3 times 3 equals 9. So 3 is the square root of 9. 4 times 4 equals 16. So 4 is the square root of 16. 5 times 5 equals 25. So if you guessed it, 5 is the square root of 25. So let's do an example here. So actually, before we do that, I wanted to let you know that this sign right here is the universal sign for square root. Okay, so whenever you see that sign, it's asking for you to solve for square root. So for example, in this question, it says find, and we read this as find the square root of 81. I'm going to say that again. Find the square root of 81. Okay, so thinking back to that definition of square root, we're trying to find two of the same numbers, two of the same factors, that multiply to make 81. Oh, well, I know 9 times 9 equals 81, so the square root of 81 is 9. Hopefully it's as easy as that, okay? Actually, I shouldn't say hopefully, I should say it is as easy as that. Look at example 2. So notice it's find the negative square root of 81. Now don't be tricked by this. Let's leave this by itself, kind of like we do in a lot of things. Well, we know the square root of 81 is 9. And guess what I'm going to do? Attach it right in front. So the square root of, or find the negative square root of 81 is negative 9. Next example, it says find the square root of 25 hundredths. So now we're trying to find the square root of a decimal. Kind of the rules don't change. We're just pretty much, I'm going to pretend that 0 is not there and the 0 in the decimal place is not there. I'm going to first ask myself, what two numbers multiply to make 25? Oh, well, 5 multiplies to make 25. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add this decimal right in front. Because I know 5 tenths times 5 tenths is 25 hundredths. So that's why 0 and 5 tenths is the square root of 25 hundredths. My next example is to find the square root of a fraction. Looks a little intimidating, but it's not. So we're going to try to find the square root of 25/36. So let's break this up. What's the square root of 25? Well, I know 5 times 5 is 25. So 5 is the square root of 25. Let's include the fraction bar. Now I'm going to ask myself, what's the square root of 36? Well, what two numbers multiply to make 36? What two of the same numbers? Oops, 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So my answer is 5/6. Again, all we're doing is we're taking the square root of the numerator and then taking the square root of the denominator and leaving it in fraction form. My last example might be the trickiest, but let's try to make this as easy as possible. So this problem is asking you to solve an equation. So the equation says solve a to the second power, or a squared, equals 4/9. So our goal is to solve for our unknown variable, and our goal is to solve for a. And what we always have to do is we have to get a by itself. So we have to get rid of this somehow. In order to get rid of that square or that second power, we're going to use the idea of square root. If you notice, square rooting and squaring kind of cancel each other out. It's kind of like saying, you know, -2 and +2. They cancel each other out. They're considered opposites, the square root and the square. So all we're going to have to do, so I'm going to rewrite a to the second power equals 4/9. All we have to do is if we square root this side, what we did to one side, we have to do to the other. So by square rooting both sides, what's actually happening is, you can almost do this, is they kind of cancel each other out to leave a by itself. So now we're back to kind of what we did back here. So now we just have to find the square root of 4 9s. So I asked myself, what two of the same numbers multiply to make 4? Well, I know 2 times 2 equals 4. And what two of the same numbers multiply to make 9? I know 3 times 3 is 9. So I know A has to equal 2/3. Again, all we did here, and I'll kind of rewrite what I did again just so you to remember. All I did was square root both sides, and by square rooting it, it cancels it out to leave A by itself, and that was our goal in the whole problem. So hope you learned a little bit more about what it means to be a square root, and thanks for watching.